Hello, I'm Rosalind Frasnklin. I was born in Notting Hill, London, England, on the 25th of June 1920. I'm an English chemist and a crystallographer. My work is the understanding of molecular structure of DNA, RNA, viruses, coal, and graphite. My father is Ellis Arthur Franklin, and my mother is Muriel Frances Hall. My great-uncle, Heber Samuel, was the first youth to serve in the British Army, and my auntie Helen and my uncle Hugh were active in the women's suffrage movement. At the age of 6, I joined the Northland Place School, where I developed an early interest in cricket and hockey. At the age of 9, I entered an elementary school for young ladies in Sussex. I was 11 when I went to St. Paul's Girls' School. I was excellent in science, Latin, and sport. I learned German and French. My worst subject was music. I passed my matriculation in 1938, and I also met Bill Price. I joined the physical chemistry laboratory of the University of Cambridge to work under Norwich. I didn't have much success because Norwich was all obstinate all the time, so I wrote that he made me desperate him completely. I studied the porosity of coal using helium to determine its density. Through this, I discovered the relationship between the fine contractors in the pores of coal and the permeability of the porous spaces. I helped to classify the coals and accurately predict their performance for field purposes and the protection of wartime devices such as gas masks. And 1945, I asked Adrian Well for help and to let me known for a job. At a conference, he introduced myself to Marcel Mathieu. This led me an appointment with Jacques Marien at the Laboratoire Central des Services Chimiques de l'État in Paris. I joined the lab. He taught me the practical aspect of applying X-ray crystallography to amorphous substances. In 1953, James Watson and Francis Crick worked in the University of Cambridge had started to build a molecular building model of BDNA. They constructed the triple helix model, which was immediately proved to be flawed. My research was completed by February 1953, ahead of my move to Breakwater. Model building have been applied successfully in the validation of the structure of the alpha helix by Linus Pauling, but it was opposed to build premature theoretical models until the sufficient data were obtained. In February 1953, Max Bethune gave Crick a copy of the report writing of Physical Researchers Council Biochemist Combined, visited to King's in December 1952, containing many of my crystallographer annotations. I had decided to transfer Weber College and Ramphal. I had insisted that all my DNA work must stay at King's. In 1953, Watson and Crick felt that they have solved the problem enough for them to proclaim that they have found the secret of life. However, they knew they must complete their model before they could be certain. They finished building their model on the 7th of March of 1953. One day before, they received a letter from Wilkins saying that I was finally leaving. I realized and admit that BDNA was double helical model. When Fleck first examined my documents, he initially came to an impression that I was not convinced of the double helical nature until the knowledge of the Cambridge model. But he later discovered the original draft that says clearly that I had already resolved the correct structure. My notebook revealed that I already thought that the helical structure for BDNA in February 1953, but I was not sure of the numbers standards. At the end of February, I began to work on the applications of the gold standards. It soon occurred to me that BDNA and aDNA were structural similar, and perceived aDNA as a known wound-up version of BDNA. Gosling and I wrote a 5-page on the 7 of martidal, a note on a molecular configuration of sodium monochloride. After the Waxman and Crick model was known, there appeared to be the only one modification. The 10th of April 1953, I wrote to Kirk asking him for permission to see their model. And I said, "It's very pretty, but how you are going to prove it?" As an experimental scientist, I seem to have been interested in production photo-grade evidences before publishing as a proven proposed model. Crick and Watson published their model letter on the 25th of April 1953, in an article describing a double helical structure of DNA, with an only footnote acknowledging having been formulated by the general law of Frasnklin and Willis, unpublished contribution. Actually, this was the very minimum. We had just enough specific knowledge of man and gospel data upon which to base their model. Most of the scientist community thought several years before accepting this double helix versatile. Thank you for listening and goodbye.